I know what's expected of me, so today we're going to talk about something sexy, credit scores. Try to keep your pants on. The best known credit reporting score is produced by Fair, Isaac, and Company. Shout it out. Who knows what the highest possible FICO score is? 850, correct. Why? Nobody knows. It's arbitrary. It could be 1 million, it could have been 5. Who knows the best way to maintain a good FICO score? Shout it out. Not miss payments. Couldn't have said it better myself. Last question, and you don't have to shout this one out. Who here has gone a long period of time for not missing payments, had great payment history, and then checked their FICO score and seen that instead of being up here, it was down here? Low 700s. Raise your hands. High 800s. Not eligible for the best mortgage rates and the best car loan rates. If that's you, then the solution may be to get more credit cards. Didn't see that one coming, did you? But wait, applying for more credit cards and loans hurts your credit score, doesn't it? Yeah? Let's back up. Who is at all confused at how this is calculated? Good, me too. But I looked into it a little bit and I think I can shed some light. Let's say that this pie chart represents all 850 points. The more it gets filled up, the better your score, the more points you have. A whopping 35% of that score is exactly that, not missing payments, paying your bills on time. 35% of 850 free math geniuses is 298 points for not missing payments. If you miss some payments, your pie could look like this. And I don't want to scare you, but it can take up to 7 years or more for those points to come back. But there's a whole rest of this pie here. Another giant portion, 30%, or 255 points, is called utilization. Who's heard of utilization? Let's take an example to show you what this means. Let's say you have only one credit card. That's your only line of credit. Life is expensive, so you routinely fill it up to $4,000 at statement time. That's 80% of your total credit. 80% utilization. That is bad. It's going to look like this. Meanwhile, if you pay this off down to 0 or only 10 or 20%, your pie might start to look like this because you're using little of your total credit, and that makes you look like a good credit risk. Now that's more than half the pie, but there's some more portions that I want to talk about. They're a lot smaller. I want to talk about 2 of them. 10%, or 85 possible points, goes to hard inquiries. Most people know about this. When you say that applying for loans and credit cards hurts your score, this is what people mean. If you've applied for a lot of loans or credit cards recently, it could be filled very little like this. Important distinction though. These points do not take 7 years to come back. They take 1 year. 7 years, 1 year. Big piece of the pie, a lot at stake, very little at stake. Can we agree that not all credit damage is created equally? There's several more slices, but I only want to talk about one more. It's another 10%, or 85 points. Most people don't know about this. It's called number of accounts. Let's go back to this example. You only have one credit card, it's your only loan. That's one account, not too much temptation to overspend, not too many payments to miss. Who thinks that makes you look like a good credit risk and you're going to be filled up to here? No one? Who thinks it's middle of the road, whatever? Who thinks it looks like a bad credit risk? Several more hands, and that's actually correct. If you have less than 5 credit accounts, you are considered a bad credit risk by this metric. Does anyone want to guess what makes you look like a good credit risk in this piece of the pie? How many accounts? 6 to 10? Anyone else? 10 to 15? Getting closer. 21 is considered the best number of accounts that you can have for this piece of the pie. Oh, wait a minute, I pay my bills on time. Why can't I have an 850 credit score if I always make my payments on time? How, like this? That's not a thing. The most you can get for never missing a payment is 298 points. Meanwhile, by having few accounts, you're leaving these points on the table. Yes, if you have 21 credit cards, you can easily overutilize them and miss payments and destroy your credit in the process. But in the meantime, these 85 points remain sacrosanct. They don't get touched because they're only concerned with sheer number of accounts. You lose some points here, but believe it or not, getting more accounts can actually help you in these two other pieces of the pie. It's too long to explain how it helps you here, but it's not long to explain here. You got this one credit card, it's 80%, that's bad. Let's say you get 3 more. The $4,000 you spend on this one credit card per month is now only 20% of your total available credit. That's good. You fill this piece of the pie up. In another year, this piece of the pie augments and you're better than ever. Now the dark side. If you end up filling these up to 80% as well, you're back to 80% utilization, this piece of the pie drains and you're snowed under in debt. This is sadly common. Ideally, credit cards should be used the same as debit cards, paid off as quickly as you accumulate them, never suffering on that crazy interest rate. Unfortunately, that's not what happens. According to NerdWallet, the average American spends 12 to 15% more on a credit card than they would on a debit card. According to Value Penguin, the average household labors under $5.7 thousand in credit card debt. In the lowest income brackets, that number is over $10,000. Most of it at 15 to 25% interest rates. It is almost impossible to catch up to that kind of interest rate. The Bible calls it the sin of usury. Ancient Israelites would have been commanded to take the CEO of American Express out into the town square and stone him to death. Maybe some of you wouldn't mind seeing that. If you don't think you can handle 21 credit accounts, don't do it. But then isn't this lower score appropriate? Aren't you self-identifying as a credit risk? I can't tell you what to do in that respect. All I can tell you is that since taking the plunge and getting over 20 travel rewards credit cards, traveling for pennies on the dollar, and never paying interest, my credit score has never been better. And I got nothing. Done.